past few years have been about collecting skills, knowledge, and community. And the next chapter is about how you use everything that you got here at Booth to make an impact. I think you will find that the influence of Booth in your life will extend long after you leave this arena today, the same way your path here started long before you got here. And I think that the influence of Booth will influence your life for as long as you allow it. My connection to Booth began almost 40 years before I got there. My father was a 1970 graduate of what was then called Chicago GSD. When I asked my dad for advice about where to go to business school, he first said, "You have no idea what you want to do with your life, why are you applying to business school?" Thanks, Dad. But then he told me that Chicago would challenge me and would teach me not what to think, but how to think. And he was right. At Booth, I learned fundamental lessons about how to think and prioritize that went well beyond the hard skills needed to be successful in business. These lessons have shaped my career and really my approach to life, and I'd like to share just a few of them with you today. The first is to ask questions. During my first quarter at Booth, I took marketing class. It was a little rough at the start. I'd never encountered CAC, LTV, golden ratios, things like that. And I finally went to office hours and asked my professor how I could get up to speed because I did not have a background in marketing. And she said, as a manager and a leader, you are never going to be able to be an expert in every field. So what you need to do is ask the questions that you need to get the information you need from the experts to make decisions. I have found that asking questions is an incredibly powerful thing. It uncovers knowledge and data. Questions make people explain their thinking or defend their opinions. And that shows you a lot about how they think. In fact, asking questions, I would argue, is one of the most effective management tools in your toolkit. Today, as the CEO of a Fortune 25 company, I ask questions to interrogate the business, test our strategy, track market courses, and evaluate my team. But I also ask stupid questions. Because when you, as the CEO, ask the stupid questions, it gives the entire team permission to be vulnerable, to be curious, and to learn along with you. So I encourage you to ask questions early and often and always, and listen very closely to the data that you get, because it will be valuable. The second thing Booth taught me was really a mentality. So when I applied to Booth in 2008, the motto was challenge everything. And since then, it has become my personal motto. For me, challenging everything is about being curious, asking why to better understand. But it is also inherently an optimistic way of operating. It means asking, why not? It means you believe things don't have to be the way they are. It implies possibility. A belief that everything can get better than it is today. For me, challenge everything is about asking, is there a better way? I am currently leading a company dedicated to something that, frankly, a lot of people don't believe is possible, which is to transform the experience of healthcare for more than 28 million Americans who depend on the Centene, many of whom are the poorest, sickest, and most vulnerable members of our communities. And it's more than that, because we believe that the solutions that we design, we can make them work, and we can make them scale. They will make the whole system work better. This is my dream job, but I haven't been pursuing it ever since I graduated Booth. Instead, I've been pursuing answers to the big questions of how we can make healthcare work better, no matter where you come from or how much money you have. Of what's possible if you can harness the right data and technology and address all the factors that determine a person's life and enable health. It is a big, thorny problem, and that is what Booth prepared me for. So when you leave here today, I hope that you challenge the status quo. I hope you focus less on the big job and the big title, and more on the thing that you want to make better. And in my experience, if you focus on that, you might just end up with a big job and a big title too, and I promise you it will mean a whole lot more. My final lesson from Booth: find great humans to work with. Because if you are going to do big things, you're going to work really hard. And who you choose to work really hard with makes all the difference. Teams that are full of high-trust colleagues, whose intelligence is manifested differently from yours, all equally devoted to solving the same problem, that is where magic happens. I had that experience as a lead facilitator at Booth, and I am incredibly lucky to be on a team that is like that today. It is a team that, as a person, is committed to our mission, and a team that loves to win. But it is also a team that is in it for the hard ones. In fact, I have a bracelet on that I wear every day that one of my team members gave me that says, "Don't let the hard days win." Because when you are going after big problems, and when you are challenging everything, there are hard days. And the hard days are easier when you have the right people around to laugh at. And when you can laugh at yourself. And this might be the most important lesson of all, which is never take yourself too seriously. I'll end with a story. Last year, in December, Forbes came out with the women's most powerful list. I have no idea how these things are calculated, but I was higher than Beyonce, so there's clearly something wrong with the underlying algorithm. We can get to that later, but anyway, my husband was scrolling through the list, showing my two young sons, and going through the names: Christine Lagarde, badass; Taylor Swift, badass, until he got to me at number 22, and Mac, my 10-year-old, said, "Who's even scrolling that far?" And I mean, he's not wrong. When your general framework for the world is fantasy sports, nobody's drafting the 22nd best shortstop. So keeping perspective is really important to your success and your ability to enjoy that success, but it is also really important to your ability to show up for all of the people who played a role in your success. Which brings me back to my first point. This is not the end of your path at Booth. It is the start of the next stage. And as you begin this next chapter, this is my challenge to you. Make the most of what Booth has given you, including the amazing humans who are sitting with you in this room. Be leaders who ask questions, build great teams, love what they do, and take on the hardest problems. Challenge yourself to challenge everything, especially the status quo. This is the kind of leadership the world needs. By virtue of getting into Booth, we know you have the intelligence to be that kind of leader. Now you have the education. Tomorrow you have the opportunity, and I hope you seize it. Thank you, and congratulations.